Welcome back. I'm Caleb Jower, this is Trevor McGee with the Daily Beacon. We are in Norman, Oklahoma, where it was 98 degrees at kickoff. The field's a little dry, and according to Tennessee's locker room, which they were blaring twice before we left, there's no love in Oklahoma. So Trevor, big win today. I was on the field taking pictures, forgive the outfit. I didn't get the best view, but what's your biggest takeaway from the bird's eye view tonight?
It was 100% the defense. You come into this one, the defense, you look at those other games, not really the greatest of opponents. You had NC State right in the middle, top 25 opponent, but you look at today's results and not really necessarily a top 25 team. So you kind of look at those games, those 13 total points. The defense, you could say it's good, but is it great? Well, I think today they showed that it's great, allowing 15 points to an Oklahoma team that, isn't the greatest offensively, but they had some guys, they had some weapons, and Tennessee really showed them up to the point that Jackson Arnold had to sit the bench the second half.
That's a good point. Jackson Arnold got pulled in a home game in his first SEC start, going against his fellow former five-star for the backup, which is an insane thing to think, but the tone was set with this defense from the first play. Elijah Simmons screaming up the middle, first play down there after they shot off the 21 gun salute or whatever the heck they do with those black powder rifles. Crazy in its own right. But Elijah Simmons jumps in, sets the tone. It was either sack or tackle for loss, but it really set the tone that this defensive line was going to take over this game. Heupel said it in there. Every team takes its own identity. This 24 team is taking on defense as its identity, and it changed the way Heupel coached. He said he's never coached in a way to chew clock, huddle up, run the ball up the middle. What you would consider a traditional offense, not the go style that he runs. And tonight, that's what they did. They chewed clock. They had a lead, and they held on to it with the defense. There was a big change in the second half, Trevor, from this team.
Yeah, absolutely. You say the second half, but even in that first half, there were 3 straight drives that really stood out to me. Tennessee fumbled, Nico got hit on the arm, gave it right back to Oklahoma on the 5-yard line over there. The next play, Joshua Josephs was in there. He punched it out of Jackson Arnold's arm, gave it right back to Tennessee after a play. The next possession, Tennessee 3 and out. But that possession, or it was not 3 and out, but they didn't get very far down the field. Then Jackson Ross came down here. He punted the ball all the way down to the Oklahoma 4-yard line. Oklahoma had a false start. They put him at the 2-yard line.
Yep.
Then that next play, Jason Jenkins was right here in this backfield, got into that end zone and got a safety to put Oklahoma just in a really bad spot after what should have been a touchdown on their other end, but just a bunch of woes offensively, and Tennessee just stood to the occasion and really showed up.
And that's how this game flipped on its head, was plays like that. They played the field position game, which is something Heupel doesn't really do a lot with the way the offense runs. And they played the field position game. Jackson Ross with a ton of beautiful punts. The one you're talking about that just bounced at the 10 and then sat on it. You can't draw it up better than that. But you go back to that strip sack of Nico, one of his probably worst plays of the night, and you watch the tape, and Dane Davis got beat off the edge where Lance Hurd should have been. So that's not something we can really blame on Nico. And I think John Campbell going out hurt too is another thing. That offensive line was not at its best that Nico had played with through the first 3 weeks. And I think it showed with some of the plays, but still, the offense did what it needed to do to win the game. You look at 14.9 yards per pass, 62% completion percentage from Nico Iamaleava. But when you have the defense playing like it is, and you can call the game however you want, it really doesn't matter how well the offense played. But I still think they put up a solid performance for the first SEC start for Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico didn't look scared in any right. He was still attacking the middle. You still had Danny Stutzman right there, but It didn't matter because Dante Thornton went all the way down there, got past that secondary that, it could be strong, it could be a little on the slower end, and Dante Thornton really just exposed them, went straight across the middle on a post, and Nico found him for that 66-yard touchdown that set the tone offensively, though it didn't really hold up, but it was enough to get Tennessee the momentum to start.
We talked about it coming into this week that Brent Venables wants to use those zone blitzes, and it was really important for Nico to play with his eyes, be smart in this offense, and I think that's what he did tonight. We'll make it quick because we've got some driving to do and some writing and some editing photos and hopefully not getting hit by tornadoes. Never had that happen before, so we want to get out of here. Final thoughts.
One big thing, Oklahoma finished 222 offensive yards, but that's very misleading because 140 of those came on their final 3 drives of the game.
Yeah.
They had 82 yards of offense going into those final 3 drives. 2 of those were touchdown drives, which makes the defense, it looks a little weaker when you just box score watch, but Tennessee was as dominant as it gets. 82 yards to a new SEC opponent that's top 15 in their own stadium, outrageous.
When you look at the Oklahoma headline, your starting quarterback gets sat at home and booed on his own field. At some point, I don't think it's the quarterback's fault. But that's not for us to decide. That's for Oklahoma and their beat writers to talk about. So for Trevor McGee, I'm Caleb Jower, coming from Norman. Oklahoma will be at all the road games this year, continuing to bring you coverage of Tennessee football.